Hey everybody, it's Brandy and you are watching Abstract Crafter. Today we have a very special spooky edition of my Drill With Me. So, if you would like a little company while you listen to some spooky stories, then grab your diamond painting, grab your craft project, or just grab whatever it is that you need to work on while I keep you company. And we will get started in just a moment. Why, hello friends, welcome back. And if you are new to my channel, then welcome. I am very glad that you are here today for this special spooky edition Drill With Me. So this will be a Halloween special for this channel. It's not something that we'll dive into all the time, and we'll get into some details of that in just a moment. I do have a few updates. We'll talk a little bit about this painting and stuff, and then we'll get into it. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time because I have really great stories that I want to share with you guys in this Drill With Me. I have gotten started a little bit because I've had to stop and start. Now this is take 3, if you would believe that. I mean, not me. That never happens to me. I never lose clips. Okay, I had to get my little guide out to help me on keep me on track with the stories. So we are working on STAROAR MERMAID, which is the mixed drill canvas. It has regular rounds, rhinestones in green, 2 greens and 2 reds, I believe. No, we have 3 reds and 2 greens. And then we have 1 AB in yellow, which is a giant moon and a little bit of gold on her necklace. That will also be in the ABs. There's a small section in this corner up here that is also the rhinestones. Whether or not we get to that in this video is to be seen. So I'm trying to use up only STAROAR supplies with the exception of my drill pen, but I don't know why. For some reason I really like the blue one and I thought it went better. Got my giant white tray, which I will link in the description box. I got these trays from Stickers, so I won't link those, but it's got the new alignment tool that I got in my more recent unboxing of Hello Again, which if you did not see the unboxing of this or Hello Again, I will link it up in the eye. And if you wish to purchase MERMAID or Hello Again, I will link them both down below for you from Amazon and from STAROAR. So I just noticed this in my last take of this, trying to film this, that there's just the slightest amount of glitter in the canvas. And it looks to be blue and silver particles, but it's not overdone like some companies I've seen that just litter the canvas with glitter. It's just subtle. And it makes sense because you have that little bit of gapping between the drills. So that would allow glitter essentially to come through. So I'm gonna put a picture of this lovely lady up in the corner so that you can see what we're working with. I like to start on the bottom corner. I have tried going top down, but I just really prefer going bottom up, especially on a canvas of this size. This is a 12 by 16, if I did not say that. And this kind of reminds me of The Little Mermaid, which is also a reason that I liked this this canvas so much. I have been looking for my perfect Little Mermaid painting, and I know there's quite a few out there to choose from. I just haven't come across it myself. So now I think I paid $18.99, I want to say, for this particular canvas. If it's not available on Amazon, I will link it from STAROAR. I mean, either way, both will be linked if you wish to purchase this gorgeous canvas. It's going to be pretty amazing, I think. I think it's just going to be stunning. I also did take the clear cover off, and I put down the white papers. So if you wish to get those, I will also link them. All of this stuff is also in my Amazon influencer page. It's either going to be under diamond paintings I own and recommend, or under diamond painting accessories and tools, or something like that. That's what the headings would say. So if ever you're looking for something, you can always find it in that section as well. So updates. So this is Halloween. This is my favorite holiday. I am beyond thrilled to be doing a Halloween special. I wanted to do one last year, but I just kind of, the timing of it all, it just didn't work out that way. So I am very excited. This will be closing out 2019. I mean, this year just flew. I can't even believe that we're heading into our final 2 months. So there'll be a lot of really good videos coming out having to do with DIY diamond painting gifts and stuff like that, which I know other channels will be doing. So I do want to quickly let you know that while I do like to share ideas with you guys and bounce them off of you, that will be coming to an end on my channel, because unfortunately there has been a lot of idea theft, I guess, out there, and it's just kind of a bummer when I share an idea and before I even have a chance to film it, somebody else takes that idea as their own and runs with it. It's so unfortunate. And I wouldn't even care so much, I think, if they had the decency to credit me. This is nothing new on YouTube in general. It happens all the time. Some people are just better about crediting the people that they get the ideas from than others. I get it. I'm kind of an outcast in this community since I put out that video of why I left the diamond painting community, so I get it. Do I care? Only a fraction. I can't say I don't care, but it's not something that I'm upset about. I am mentioning it to you simply because it's been a big part of my drill with me is bouncing ideas off of you, sharing what I have coming up, videos to look forward to, and unfortunately, unless I already have it filmed and scheduled to be uploaded, I am going to have to just put that portion to an end and let you guys be surprised, which I'm sure is fine for a lot of you guys anyway. Sometimes I just ramble, and that's one of the things that I would ramble about. So just as an FYI, but with that being said, I do have some fun videos coming up. I'm going to let most of it be a surprise. But you do know that I have ordered the stickers, and I've been working on them for the sealant videos, and those sealant videos are coming out. I have to get a couple more supplies, and I am almost done drilling the stickers. So once those are done, I'll be able to conduct my experiments on them, and I'm pretty excited about it because I have so many ideas for the stickers and for the different sealants, not just for diamond paintings, because I am a person that does prefer no sealant on my paintings if I can at all help it. It's just a personal preference. Again, I always state that, but so I think that is all I have for updates. I know there's one thing actually. I already filmed, like I said, this is take 3, so I'm already like forgetting what I've said in this video and what I have forgotten that I said in other videos. But I know I've been kind of getting down to just doing 2 uploads a week, and there's no other reason for it other than I've just been very busy with getting the kids caught up in schoolwork and stuff like that. I don't even have time to diamond paint, let alone film videos and stuff. So I've just kind of been spreading out what I do have to make sure that at no point do I actually run out of content. But I do have, I'll be starting up those ceiling videos. I have a couple of the canvases for the next Project Amazon. And this is stuff I've already said in previous videos, so I don't worry about repeating it here. And then, yeah, so I have that marker review, and that was a really fun video to film, so I do hope that you guys watch it. I had a lot of fun. I have been obsessed with markers for a very long time. I use markers all the time in relation to diamond painting because I make most of my own labels like I did with this particular kit, and I'll show you a few of them. So you can see here, I drew out my own labels, and every time I show this, I always get at least one comment that says, why don't you just use a label maker? Or why don't you just take a copy of the chart on the canvas and cut it apart? I do that on occasion, but if I can, I prefer to actually draw out the symbols. I have so much fun doing it. For me, it's all a part of diamond painting, and it's one of my favorite parts. So the marker review that I have coming out, it is really exciting. But I had saw that Stitcherista had done a marker review on a different brand of markers, and I kind of wanted to wait a little bit before putting mine out, just to give her video time to get seen and stuff. So I'm a very respectful creator of other people's things. Not that I think she'd really care, but or that she'd even notice, but that's just me. So, disclaimers before we get into it. Now, I have very strange beliefs, and I am in no way asking you to conform your beliefs if you do not have similar beliefs or thoughts as me on these subjects that I'm going to talk about in this video. If there's something you don't believe in, and I'll tell you what the kind of general idea of the stories is just before I get into them. So if all you want is these very beginning updates and you're not interested in stories from beyond, then I understand and I appreciate that you are here for the updates and for the intro, and I do hope you'll come back. But I do have some very strange beliefs, and again, I am not asking anyone else to change what they believe. If you still want to watch, but you don't believe in the things that I'm going to talk about, just think of it as just that. Just think of it as a story. You don't have to think of it as anything. You don't have to believe a word I'm saying. You can chalk it up to coincidence or seeing what I want to see, and that's fine. The only thing that I do ask is that you spare those comments. I don't want comments saying, oh, you're stupid for thinking that, or it's just a coincidence, that's not real, or try to explain it away. One of the quotes I like to live by in life is, and I'm going to butcher it because I don't have it in front of me, and I forgot to get it before I started. But I like to say, respect me in my beliefs, and don't try to change my mind, and I will respect you in your beliefs, and I will never try to change your mind. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about my spiritual and psychic connections, what I believe dreams are to me, and I have a story relating to that, and it has to do with a little bit of ghostly or psychic types of encounters. I'm going to talk a little bit about quote-unquote hauntings, but they're not, I don't consider them really hauntings, I consider them more visits. And then I have a story about a Ouija board, which is the one that is more kind of open for interpretation. So if those are things that you're really not interested in talking about or hearing about, then I appreciate your time, and I hope that you have an awesome rest of your day, evening, night, whatever time it is that you're watching this, and I will see you in the next video. Before I get into the very first story, I do want to apologize. I will pause frequently because my heater keeps kicking in and out, you may or not be hearing static in the background from it, but the motor isn't running. So I thought, well, let's just go. And it just shut off just right there. So if from time to time you are hearing a little bit of background noise, or if I pause suddenly and all of a sudden now things look a little bit different, a little bit more done, that's why. I'm hoping I turned the heat to an absolute minimum so that it wouldn't kick on as often as it typically does. It's something I didn't know or think about contending with when I made the basement work area my new studio and craft area. I have a TV down here, and typically when the heat decides to kick in, because it's right there, it's right next to me, right beside me, and when it kicks in, it's loud. So I will try to make sure that when I hear it, it has a very obvious like click noise before it starts kicking in. So I won't tell you every time that I need to pause. I'll just do it. And if you notice some strange jump cuts, then that is why. So the first story I want to get into, because this is from my younger days, and there's a couple of stories from my younger days, two actually. And I want to start with the Ouija board one first, because this one is more open-ended, and this one I'm not really sure what I believe about it. All I know is it is what it is, and the things that I'm going to tell you happened. The things that I'm more open about, I will tell you that. I'll be very honest with you about what I feel and think. And if you happen to feel or think differently than me, then I am in no way trying to, I guess, dog on your beliefs. So, that'll be the first story that I get into, but I do want to say that I personally feel like I have a very strong connection to the spiritual world, to the psychic world. I do not think I'm psychic. I think I'm highly intuitive, and I think everybody has the capability to be intuitive. It's something I also believe that you can practice to get better at. How or why, I couldn't begin to explain that to you. It's something I'm actually just learning about myself, like consciousness and opening up your consciousness and stuff like that. That's something I'm very, very interested in, and I am unsure of my thoughts and feelings and beliefs that surround consciousness. It's something I am exploring right now, but I'm very open-minded. That's where it comes from, is my beliefs surrounding the spiritual and psychic connection. Not just mine, but everybody's. I also believe in dreams being more than just a dream. Sometimes a dream is just a dream, but sometimes I think dreams tell us stuff. And part of me, and this is the part where it's hard for me to explain, but part of me also believes that we're more open in our sleep, and from time to time your soul can travel while you're sleeping, and I have a story that goes along with that a little bit later on in the video as well, and how I came to this belief. And I already know how it sounds. It sounds ridiculous and it sounds silly. I get it. I hear myself saying it, and I know. And if it helps you, my husband does not hold the same beliefs as me on a lot of the things that I'm going to talk to you about. So skepticism is my middle name today. So I also have this weird thing with graveyards. I don't like being in them unless I have to be, or if it's during the day. I feel very heavy in graveyards. I find it hard to breathe. And I don't know if it's all the spirits or all the souls that are there or what it is, but I know graveyards, and it's true for many people. They don't like being in them. It's creepy is what it is. Even in the most beautiful of areas and scenes, it can be a little creepy. So I don't know. So what I'm trying to say is that I have a bit of a sensitivity when it comes to things like that. So I kind of want to go through this journey. I forgot a couple of these letters and I just put them away. I kind of want to go from my earlier experiences to my more recent ones. And on all of these topics, as far as spiritual and psychic connections, dreams, graveyards, not so much. I just wanted to add that in there to kind of add some context to my thoughts and beliefs. And you have to trust me when I say I'm feeling very silly and very self-conscious in talking about this, which is why I thought it would make a perfect Halloween special, because you could just take it as a story and not have to look at it as anything other than that. So, I'm trying to put away a few of the drills that I'm not going to be using anymore. There's a lot of confetti in this area. So one of my very earliest memories, I guess we could say, with outside worlds is with a Ouija board. And I'm not saying that the Ouija board moved or it did anything. It didn't. It's just a small part of it. It's the things that happened in the time of the Ouija board. So let's just start. Let's quit tiptoeing around it and make it make sense, right? So I'm trying to think how I want to actually start it. So one day, a friend of mine, she has a Ouija board. And I'm going to leave out names for the most part just because I never talked to any of my friends about actually seeing if they cared that I talked about this in a video. But one of my friend and I think there might have even been a third person, we were babysitting and the kids were very young. So I think they must have been napping or doing something. I don't know. But they weren't there. They weren't in the vicinity. And so we thought, let's play with the Ouija board. I don't know if it was hers or if it was already at the house. So we take it out and of course it moves around. It's just silliness. I don't remember anything significant about that because I didn't make like a connection to it. You know, I didn't feel anything. I kind of felt like my friend was messing with me. We asked some silly questions, you know, the typical, is anybody here? You know, are you good? Are you bad? Them kind of things. And I think it maybe moved a couple of times, but nothing significant. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it was my friend, you know, even being the believer that I am. And at the time, I have to tell you, I was scared out of my mind of using it because you just don't mess with that kind of stuff. You know, you don't mess with that world. And another one of my friends had warned me not to touch it, to stay away from it. And she was the one who said, you don't mess with that world. And she was an older girl from my neighborhood. But me being me at, I think I was between 10 and 12, we'll say. So I was very young, very naive, and didn't think much about it. We thought it was just silly, you know. I think I even moved the thing on my friend at one point just to freak her out. I think it was a day or two later. And we were... No, this is when kids rode bikes and went places outside and didn't stay in the house all day unless they were grounded or it was rainy out and you had no choice but to be in the house. So a lot of times the kids, we would ride bikes, and if you didn't have a bike, your bike was broken, or for some reason it got stolen, or you were borrowing it out, you would ride with your friend. You would either ride on the handlebars, or if you were really lucky, you'd have pegs on the back that your friend could stand on, and they'd put their hands on your shoulders, and if you were really daring, you would do both. You'd have a friend on the handlebars and a friend riding on the pegs. And sometimes you could even fit them on the seat with you, or they would sit on the seat and you would stand and pedal, what have you. There's many number of ways that you could transport a friend on a bike or two. And there's this Frito-Lay plant, which is a chip factory in my town, and it was a distribution plant, and they used to have this dumpster. Now this part is gross, and I am not proud, but 10-year-old me did not care. It was a dumpster that they literally threw nothing in but old bags of chips, like expired chips. And my friend was very poor, and she had no qualms about climbing in there and getting a couple bags of expired chips. Nobody ever got sick. Nobody ever, you know, died or anything drastic. So this particular day, a couple days after messing around with this Ouija board, we decided to go on a bike ride. And we're going to go to the Frito-Lay and see if they have any chips in their dumpster. Now, mind you, once they caught on that kids were doing this at the Frito-Lay plant, they did start locking it. And they put cameras out there, so they didn't want kids doing that anymore. Then we actually wanted to be digging in garbage for bags of chips. No, and I never got in there. I was too scared of getting in trouble to ever think about jumping in the dumpster. But I didn't mind sitting there and waiting while my friend dug out goodies. And they were always closed bags of chips, mind you. Now I feel like I have to over-explain that. But it is what it is. It was an amazing little thing to do when we were kids, so there's no point in being ashamed of it now. So on our way at some point, I don't know if it was on our way there or on our way back, we were also kind of little brats. And we would do somewhat destructive things, nothing like major. We wouldn't rob houses or anything. But, you know, occasionally if we saw a bottle on the side of the road, we'd break it. You know, nothing to be proud of there either. But again, it is what it is. And so on our bike ride, we spot a bottle. It was already mostly broken. And so I thought, oh, stop. I want to break that. It looks fun. And I said something to this effect to my friend. And I still don't remember if I was the driver or the rider in this occasion. But we were both doubling on this bike. And so we stop and I pick up the bottle and I break it. And a piece of glass, this is karma in action here for you. A piece of glass flies up and hits me in the eye. It didn't cut my eye or do any significant damage, but it did hurt. Like, you wouldn't believe. As you could imagine, a piece of glass flying into your eye. It was a big piece of glass. When we looked down, or when I looked down to see the glass that had hit me, wouldn't you know if this dang thing was not shaped in the shape of a triangle? And we took that as a sign, because it looked exactly like the triangle in the Ouija board that comes with the Ouija board game. Or not the game necessarily, but the actual, you know, board. It looked identical to it. So we took that as a sign that, A, we shouldn't have been messing with it, but did we heed that warning? No. We decided to leave and immediately go home and draw our own Ouija board. Because, like I said, that wasn't ours. I'm pretty sure it wasn't ours. I just remember drawing it out on paper and writing it out. I doubt it was even an exact replica. And we used that little piece of glass every time we used a Ouija board. And we told that story over and over and over again because it was so significant to us. To the extent that I still believe it to this day. But as far as the Ouija board goes, I don't think anything significant happened with that. And this is one where, yes, I could say it's a coincidence. You know, we saw what we wanted to see. But then again, did we? Was it a sign that we were to do what we did with it? Was it a warning saying, in the only way possible, saying, leave that world alone? Who knows? Like I said, it could have all been coincidence. And around the same time is my first real encounter with, I mean, I don't know if it happened before or after. I was very young, but I know that this next event was years apart, at least 2 years separated. The Ouija board game playing, and let me tell you, to this day I've never touched another Ouija board, and I won't. I don't want to take chances, whether I believe in its capability or not. I don't want to take chances, and that's kind of been my motto in life since then, is I always respect the dead, and I think that's why graveyards have the effect that they do on me. You always respect the dead, you respect their resting place, you don't go meddling in things that you know nothing about. Oh, it's kicking it. Blast that heater, I swear. So, I think I fixed it. I think I messed with it enough so it won't kick in constantly on me. It's like right when I'm about to get into a story, it decides to kick in. So, I mean, it's going right now. You might be hearing it. Anyhow, so this story, like I said, it in no way relates even to the first one. I'm just going down the line here. So, I don't even know what age I was. I was still fairly young, but I would always get these feelings in my house. Like, you know, every kid goes through that, where it's not really so much the monster under the bed or anything like that, but you think there is one. There's not really one there. And it was kind of along those lines, where it felt very heavy and weird, and it just felt like, I don't know, like I was always, at night, my bathroom was downstairs, the bedrooms were upstairs, and I hated having to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. If I could hold it, I did as long as possible, because I hated going down these stairs. And in this particular house, there was a kind of a bigger hallway. You know, it wasn't like so much as a corridor, it was a big open space that had doors to bedrooms on them. And the stairs were very narrow and steep a little bit. It was an older house, as most of them are in this town. And this one particular night, I kept having these weird dreams of this, like, Indian-style princess, or this princess-style Indian, like, a native princess, if you will. And I kept having these dreams, and she would be in them. And one night in particular, I woke up, I was in a daze, and I thought, well, I'm just gonna go to the bathroom on this night, because I couldn't not go. And, occasionally in these dreams, there'd be this warrior guy. And this night that I had to go to the bathroom, I was coming back up the stairs, and I swear he was right there. Like, because I had just woken up, so your mind is a very powerful thing. And if you believe something strong enough, you can manifest it, if you will. And on this particular night, that's exactly what I did. I thought he was standing at the top of my stairs, to the point where I thought I ran into him and fell backwards. I don't know what I ran into, but I didn't really fall all the way down the stairs. There was, like, a little bit of a railing, and I remember this railing because I remember, like, if there was a corridor in this upstairs, this would have been it, but it was literally, like, a 2-foot section with a railing that were at the top of the stairs. It's so hard to explain. But it was kind of like that, and there was a railing there, and I just remember grabbing it. And really, what it was I had this, it was one of my first experiences with a real headache. And I must have gotten such little sleep. And when you're younger, you know you need a lot more sleep, it seems. And it was just a really bad headache, and it just hit me out of the blue like a migraine that sneaks up on you without warning. And that's kind of what it was like. But after that, it took a long time for me to get up enough courage to go to the bathroom at night again, because I swore he was there. And then a few nights I would just, you know how you crawl under your blankets because you think that there's a ghost in your room or a monster under your bed, and if you come out of the blankets, they'll get you. It was like one of those scenarios where I would hide under my blankets and I wouldn't come out until morning, and just silliness. But I would swear he would be in my room at times, and he was protective over this princess in my dreams, and it was just interesting what I went through as a child, I guess, is the best way to put it. My thoughts at that time. But I felt like he hated me, like he didn't want me dreaming about this girl. That's what I thought as a child, anyway. So that's kind of when I started really getting into exploring what my beliefs were, what more Native American traditions are, what more the Native American beliefs surrounding spirits and death were. And someday, maybe I'll share that with you on some kind of special occasion or something. Maybe next Halloween we'll talk more about that, but it was definitely something that started a trend in my life. It is also when I started getting into dream analysis, and I started getting dream journals and writing my dreams down, and I wish for the life of me that I could remember what I did with those dream journals, if nothing else, just to go back and revisit the dreams that I remembered enough to write down. But and that was just kind of a quick short story, and that helps kind of build up to some of these other ones that I'm going to share. Because like I said, this is when I started getting into dream analysis and the meaning in your dreams and what certain things can mean, and everything from the weather, the clothes you're wearing, to the environment, to the people you see. And I had learned that there were people that believed that, this is when I started having this belief that when you dream, say you dreamed of a loved one that passed, some people believe that that's actually your loved one visiting you. And they can only come to you when you're sleeping because you're more open to it and having conversations with them and believing that, you know, it's a real interaction versus just a dream. So a lot of people, and me included, believe that when, like, my grandmother, for example, after she passed, she came to I seen her in my dream one time, and I say it like that, she came to me in my dreams one time, and then I had really been struggling for many, many years with accepting her death. And more or less, it was her telling me that it was okay and that I shouldn't let it affect me anymore. And for the most part, I was able to let it go after that. But then I would always look forward to seeing a friend who had passed away or a loved one that had passed away. I would look forward to or hope to see them in my dreams. And on the same kind of token, if you dream of your friend, it's literally them traveling, their soul traveling while they sleep and visiting you in your dreams. And on nights when you have no dreams, it's said that you're out traveling. And I have a couple of examples of that. It's jumping ahead in the timeline, but I think it's valid. So when I took this job a few years back, probably 7 or 8 years ago now, and my boss and I developed a really good friendship. It was almost like we had known each other for a very long time. You know, the type that you meet them and it feels like you've known each other your entire life, and it was like that. And not on the level of like soulmate or anything like that, but I also believe that you can have many soulmates and not necessarily just as a lover. But as a friend, one of my close friends that I grew up with, we believed that that was the case for us, that we were soulmates, that we had lived many lives together, and we always found some way to find each other in every life that we have lived. If you believe in reincarnation, as I do, it makes sense. And so we always believed that we were soulmates as well. And so this boss of mine, I was telling him about my beliefs when it comes to dreams, and on nights when I would have a dream, and he would be there, he'd visit me, I would ask him, did you dream last night? Because he would have very vivid dreams, and I still to this day have very vivid dreams. And he would either say, no, I had no dreams last night. And if he happened to be in my dreams, then we would say, then you are out visiting me last night. And vice versa. He would come to work and he'd be like, I had the strangest dream of you last night. And it would just be the most random things. Like, I'll give you an example of my dreams in a second. And I would say, oh, well, I didn't dream anything last night, so I must have been visiting you. And we would joke that because we were aware of this, this is why it would keep happening. That because now we're aware that we visit each other in our dreams, we would just keep doing it to kind of push it more and more to see if it were actually true. I don't know. It's a silly concept, and it's one that most people aren't very open-minded to. But it's something that fascinates me, and I like to think it's true. And so I keep my mind open to the possibility of it being true. And like some of my dreams would be, like, this was when I was a machine operator, and so I would have these just strange dreams of the machines that I worked on being, like, one night it would be in an open field, and we'd be working the line, and it would be in an open field. Other nights it would be the building inside of another building, and or the same setup in a completely different building. It would just be so random. It would be in the weirdest of locations. And so it was just kind of a fun thought, and that kind of helped me look into the more of the possibilities of consciousness. And I knew nothing of, like, astral projection or remote viewing, as it is also called. You know, I knew nothing of that kind of stuff, but that is kind of what started me on that journey, and that's something that I am more recently learning about and getting into, and I've been watching some documentaries on the CIA's use of this exact type of, well, not the dream stuff, but the remote viewing and consciousness, and it's interesting stuff. If you ever want to know more about it, watch a few of these documentaries. They are fascinating. And so that kind of leads into going backwards now. It doesn't lead into it. It goes backwards now that you know a little bit about what I feel on that level. And I honestly feel like it's all connected. The spiritual, the open-minded, the astral projection, the remote viewing, all of that. I feel like it's all connected. And I also feel like it's somewhere that people are evolving to and working toward as evolution-wise, I guess. So now, and literally throughout my life, I would be having these strange dreams, and I even predicted, this is a strange one, this is the strangest thing that has ever happened to me with dreams and psychic connections ever. So, and I still to this day remember this dream. I won't go through all the details, I'll just kind of give you a quick rundown of what it was. So in my dream, okay, well, actually before that I have to tell you some events. surrounding, so it all makes sense. So during this particular time in my life, I was going out to the bars a lot with my friend. I was just turning 21 and having fun. You know, I was a young mom, but not so young without, you know, I didn't have newborns or anything like that. Not yet, anyhow. That would come in a couple of months, but at this time, no. I was a single mother of one at the time. So I was dating a little bit, and I had just met this boy, and my friend that I would go out with all the time, she also was dating, and the guy that she was dating happened to be roommates with the guy I liked. Now, it was nothing serious by any means. It was just innocent flirting and stuff like that. And dancing at the bar, you know, all that kind of stuff. That goes with, like, very early flirting and courtship, leading to a possible relationship in that aspect. You know, we were both very open to it. Well, one night I have this crazy, crazy dream. And I don't remember, like, I remember some of the details. Like, it happened to be taking place in a neighborhood that I recognized, but not my own. One that I spent a lot of time in as a child, but not relating to any of the people involved. So I'm in this neighborhood and I'm wandering around, and this is all in my dream again. And I run into my friend, and I find out that she had, can't say cheated because we weren't an official couple, but for the sake of ease, we'll say she cheated, or he cheated with her, and which essentially breaks down to they cheated on me and her, the person she was seeing, the roommate. And in my dream, I don't remember exactly how if I found out, or if I confronted her, or if she came out with it. I don't remember exactly how it came to be that I knew that this had happened. But it did, and in my dream, I broke down crying, and I was very upset. And I had told her that she had betrayed me, she was no longer my friend, and that I would not be able to forgive her, and that I was going to go tell the guy that she was with, because it wasn't fair to keep stringing him along or leading him on. I remember that part of it. And I don't know if it was the very next day, but that's about all I remember. But I just remember the basics of it in that aspect. But I do remember the feeling. It was a very, like, foggy, gloomy day in my dream. There was no sunshine to be had. So it was very ominous feeling and very gloomy. And I do remember this being the very next day, because I don't typically remember dreams for long periods unless they had some kind of significant meaning, or I wrote them down and recounted them later, or looked them up and interpreted them, because I do a little bit of dream interpretation for fun. I'm not by any means professional. I still work out of books. But the very next day, we were chatting on, of all things, I think it was MSN Messenger. That was, like, my messenger of choice. You know, you remember those, don't you? Yahoo Messenger, MSN Messenger, all those other ones. My favorite was MSN. I think that's what it was called. Basically, it went along with Hotmail. It was the direct competition to the Yahoo one. And I was chatting with her, and I was like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe this dream I had about you last night. And I recounted the dream to her in much more detail than I'm able to remember to share with you today. Or maybe, no. I told her I had been at her house that day, and I told it to her. And then when I got home and I logged on to my messenger, she sent me a message and was like, this is just so weird. This is just way too weird. And I was like, what? What's going on? We'll just pretend that's what I said. It was along those lines. And I just remember asking her what was weird and what was going on. And she said, I am so, so sorry. She goes, I don't know how to say it other than to just say it, but I slept with so-and-so last night. And then she proceeded to tell me the whole story of how they were drunk and she slept with him. And it was really awkward because the guy, the roommate, was home. And he had no idea that she was there. And she basically had to sneak out when he was in the bathroom. And she, of course, apologized and whatnot. And I just remember sitting there and I just started crying. I don't know if it was because I was right, that the dream was right, or that had happened. And of course, I was angry with her. I was very angry with her. And I was angry with him. See, I'm always the kind of person that doesn't believe that you can only be angry at one person when they cheat. If your boyfriend cheats, or if your friend sleeps with your boyfriend, you can't just be mad at your friend. You have to be equally as mad at the guy. You have to hold both accountable. And so that effectively ended anything going further. Nothing ever progressed from that. I mean, I have talked to him since then, and he has, like, apologized and whatnot, but in a way, I'm glad that it happened, because it was shortly after that I met my husband. So, had that not happened, I might have missed that chance to be with my husband. And I fully believe in things like that, too. That everything happens for a reason, whether we know of the reason or not, whether good or bad. And I know not everybody likes that thought. And not everybody likes that belief, or even believes that. And that's okay, because you don't have to. But I do. And so I believe that all of that had to happen in order for me to break away clean and be open and available to meet my husband. So I had to, even though I went through some pain and it hurt like hell to be stabbed in the back by your best friend, because then, of course, you don't know if you can ever trust her again. In the sense of, is she going to sleep with the next guy that I like? You know what I mean? I mean, it's never been something that's ever happened, of course, but we both ended up, and I ended up with my husband, and she ended up in a very long-term relationship. Oddly enough, with roommates again, she started dating another guy, and I ended up dating my husband, who was this guy's roommate. And she started dating that guy on Thanksgiving. I started dating my husband on Christmas Eve. Yeah, Christmas night. So, very, very strange set of circumstances. So, whether or not that first bout of dating roommates was kind of a sign of things to come, I don't know. It's actually something that's just becoming a realization in my head now. But I don't believe in coincidences either, so, well, not all the time. Sometimes it can just be a coincidence, but for the most part, I don't believe in coincidences. So, the whole dream thing, yeah. And my dreams have always been so accurate that my friend avoided going on a road trip, because I don't remember this at all, but he remembers me recalling this dream to him, in which he went on a trip to Chicago and died in a car crash. And he was supposed to go on a trip a month or so later, and he canceled his trip. So, if that says anything about my ability to, or the strange happenstances around my dreams, I don't know, it freaks me out, I tell you that much. So, I had one other dream that really, really freaked me out, but I can't really tell you about that dream until I tell you this next story. And this is kind of a 3-in-1 story. So, domestic violence is something that, whether it directly affected me or somebody else in my life, it seems like it's always been a part of my life. And I had a family member pass away due to some very, very tragic and unfortunate circumstances. And I don't want to get into the details of that because it's not the kind of stories that I'm trying to tell today. But it was a very violent and tragic death, passing. And the family member that is involved is not the one that is innocent in this circumstance, let's just say. So, due to this very tragic and violent and just downright scary event, it led to both my uncle and my aunt passing away. My uncle was my blood uncle, my mom's brother. And it was also a very sudden death, you know, like it was super unexpected. You don't expect tragedy to strike your family in the most horrific ways. Like, it's one of those circumstances where you always see it on TV and you don't ever think something like that could happen in your family. It's one of those kind of stories. But it was sometime after, and I had this and this is one other dream that I remember with so much detail that it's crazy. But this is part of one of those dreams where it's your loved ones coming back. And in this dream, I remember, like, there was one of my other uncles, one of my mom's other brothers, who was still alive at the time. And he was in the dream. And it was like in a farmland in a place I've never been. I did not recognize this place. And there was a little creek that was in the area. And then if you went down this creek far enough, you would wind up at a Walmart of all places with a very odd looking parking lot. It was a very long parking lot, but very short, maybe 4 spaces. And on the other side of the parking lot was like a grocery store that doesn't even belong. Like, it's like a grocery store you would see down south or something. And so, at the beginning of the dream, I'm on this farm talking to my uncle that's alive. And I don't remember the context of our conversation or if there even was any dialogue. But I remember, like, the feelings and the thoughts, and it was a very sunny day with a light breeze. And even when words are not spoken, sometimes I just know what I'm supposed to do or where I'm supposed to go. You know, like, looks are exchanged, and it's almost like a telekinetic conversation in my dream. But yet I'm knowing in my consciousness, not my dream state. But, I don't know, it's very hard to explain. It's like you know, but it's not that because you're being told or shown or anything like that. And so, in my dream, and in my dream state, I knew that I was supposed to walk down this creek and go to this store. Like, not down it, literally through the water. Like, I had to walk in the water. And I remember it being about knee-high in most spots, shallower in some spots. I don't remember it ever going past my knees. And I wind up at this Walmart. And my uncle also was the kind of person, the one that had passed now. He also would always have just these junk cars. Just always wheeling and dealing, getting just junk cars. They wouldn't last very long, and they would seem to always break down on him. And they'd always be rusted out. And so I walk this creek and I wind up, and I don't even know if it was really a Walmart. I feel like it was a Walmart, but I never saw a store. I just had the feeling that that's where I was. Like, I knew this parking lot and in my dream, and I knew it belonged to a Walmart, I guess. And so I get to the end of this creek, and suddenly, and now I'm transported, and I'm at this Walmart parking lot, and I look over, and there's a car. Maybe it was a station wagon or a van. It was like a family vehicle. And he was in there. My uncle was in the driver's seat, and he was waving at me. And my aunt was sitting next to him, and she was also waving at me. Now, I don't fully believe that they were necessarily together, because they were actually separated in real life. So I don't believe that they were together. Like, you know how you say you can go see your loved ones on the other side. I don't believe that they were actually together. I just believe that they were there to say goodbye. And that's what I got out of it, with them waving at me, and then all of a sudden the dream is done and I'm gone. Or they're gone. You know, and I never had this dream in this scenario, in this setting, ever again. I do have dreams that repeat. And they're usually very daunting and almost horror movie-like. And they repeat. I wouldn't call them a nightmare, because they're not quite on that level. But unfortunately, this one with my uncle was not one of those. And that's all it was. It was as simple as they were both waving at me, and then they were gone, and I woke up. And I just remember just bawling, crying, because I knew that that was the last time I would ever see him. It was, I do believe it was after his funeral, but he was cremated, so even at his funeral, I never saw him again. So it was a hard one, and I remember telling my mom about it, because my mom holds similar beliefs about your loved ones appearing in your dreams saying goodbye, and I just know how much she craved the opportunity to be able to say goodbye to him, because they were actually born on the same date, a year apart. So they always felt like twins. And she never really got to say goodbye to him. So she always hoped that she would see him in a dream. And there was like no message or anything. Like, you know, you hear stories of them saying, oh, if you know, they'll send you messages or give you messages to give to other people. There was nothing like that. I've never had a dream like that where I was told to give a message to somebody anyway. But then... And this was in the same house of the first, like, Indian princess situation. And it would just, like, my uncle was a prankster, and just weird things would always happen where, like, the door would suddenly, like, swing shut, and, of course, his cremains were on our, like, mantle. It wasn't really a mantle, it was a giant TV stand that looked like a mantle. And you'd have to walk past them to go to the bathroom, and you know, sometimes the door would creak or little funny things would happen, and we would just have to say, all right, uncle, that's enough, quit joking around. And a few years later, another one of my mom's brothers passed, but from natural causes this time. I never had any dreams of him, but for a short time we had his cremains while we waited for his kids to come pick them up. And then I have just 2 short stories to tell you after this one. But after he passed, in the time that we had his remains on our property for a short time, the pranking and joking would escalate. Like, they were there, they were running around, and I just remember he would always say, don't you dare put me on the mantle with my brother. Just like as a joke, because that's just how they were, and he just never wanted to be thought of as in that way, I guess. It kind of freaked him out. So he would always say, don't you dare put me on the mantle with my brother. So, but yeah, there would always be weird, funny little things, like cupboards that would creak open, or nothing too intense, because I don't like that. And if you know, like me, if you ever feel like there's something there, you can tell them to stop. You know, like I would just say, all right, uncle, stop it. I'm not in the mood. You know, that stuff freaks me out. And it would stop for a while. And then if I was like really sad or something, it would start up again. And then it would stop when I'd ask for it to stop. So, and it would happen to my mom too. And she would just laugh and say, oh, that's just my brother for you. Them kind of things. So that's kind of more on the lighthearted part of it. But at one point, we decided to take our portion of both uncles' ashes and go out to Lake Superior, because our ancestors actually lived on Wisconsin Point. And I've talked about this in other videos, but there's the Indian burial ground out there. So we wanted to go and lay them to rest there and spread their ashes in Lake Superior, what we personally had of them. And so this was after my wedding, and so I had 2 like glasses made up for them, and they had just sat empty as like a tribute. We did that for any of our relatives that had passed and couldn't be at our wedding. So like I think there was 4 altogether, my grandma and my 2 uncles, and then my husband's mom, who had passed when he was younger from cancer. And so we had a few empty glasses that were dedicated to their memory. And I took both of my uncle's glasses out, and I had a little bit, my portion of their ashes was in, I put them in the goblets. I found a beautiful tree that I would remember, and I buried the glasses there. And I know, like, my beliefs say we shouldn't have separated their ashes, that all of the ashes should have stayed together. And my biggest fear is that they're not whole or able to pass over because of this. So I worry about that. It's something that gives me great anxiety. But nonetheless, here we are. You know, I hope that they can be whole. At least one day, if not now. But, yeah, I buried these glasses. They're just long stem wine glasses, or champagne glasses, I should say. Because I've never drank wine. I'm crazy, but I've never drank wine. And so I buried them there for my own personal visitation spot, because that's when I have a loved one that has passed. That is how I like to pay my respects. I'm not good about funerals. I like to say goodbye in my own way. I like to be able to visit and talk to those that have passed in my own way. And this was my way of being able to do that. And so I buried them there, and the next time I went out there, wouldn't you know it, if those glasses weren't dug up and sitting right up alongside the tree. I have pictures of it. I don't know where they are, and I don't think I would share them anyway. But it was just so creepy, because they weren't, I buried them pretty good. I mean, it is possible that an animal dug up the glasses. I'm not oblivious to the fact that that could have happened. But nonetheless, the glasses are sitting, and not like perfect, so I don't want you to think like they're just sitting up perfectly waiting for me. They were just not buried anymore, and they're next to the tree in which I buried them. And it could have been that they maybe were sticking up and somebody saw them, and then they put them back next to the tree. That is all possible. That is all very possible. And I am not oblivious to the fact that that could happen. So that was just something weird that happened too. Was my little memorial was disturbed and unearthed with the things that I buried for them just being there. And I haven't had any real instances since until I moved here. And you've heard it in my videos. There's been a couple of times where you'll hear things falling in the background, and it creeped me out at first because I knew that Mr. Reed had passed before we moved here. And a part of me thought he probably would still be here. He lived in this house for 50 years. So part of me thought he's probably still going to be there in some capacity. And so when that started happening, I did the same thing. I said, Mr. Reed, this has to stop. Or when I would go to record, I'd say, all right, I need to go to work. Mr. Reed, please let me do my work. Please don't disturb me right now. I need to do my work. And it hasn't happened since. And I will talk to spirits, and I don't even care how I sound when I do it. So when all of that weird stuff started happening around here, part of me was going to do a saging cleansing ceremony, but I decided not to because I didn't feel like there was any bad spirits here. I've never had that feeling so far, other than that very first non-existent native guy that was in my dreams. Maybe he was real too, but who knows? Maybe he wasn't even angry. Maybe he just looked stoic, and I confused it with anger. Who knows? But a few days after the second video that ended up with weird noises in it, that I didn't even catch it in real life, in real time, I had a talk with him in the kitchen. I just explained to him that I respected his house and I would never do anything to it because he put a lot of work. Any repairs that were needed in this house, Mr. Reed did them, and he did a fine job. And I would just tell him, you know, I would never do anything to your house to disrespect it. You had your 50 wonderful years to raise your family here, but now it's my turn. And I mean, I won't go into all the details of that, but that's the gist of the conversation that I had. And just to kind of let him know that, you know, it was my turn. And that I understood that he may not like a lot of the changes that I'm making, but I have nothing but the best of intentions when I make these changes. So that's my limited, it's really not that limited. That's my experience with what I call otherworldly stuff. Like I said, it might not be what you believe in. It might sound incredibly silly to you. Maybe even ridiculous. Maybe it's all of it. Maybe you're judging me harshly now and you've completely changed your mind on how you feel about me. That was a chance I felt like I had to take before I made this video, but I hoped most of you that didn't agree with my thoughts would just look at it as a Halloween spooky video time. I hope I was able to explain some things somewhat decently. I hope I was able to make some sense of some of the stuff that I feel like happens in my life, in my unusually strong connection to the spiritual and psychic world, my open-mindedness to dreams and the role I feel like they play in my life. So, and like I said in the very beginning, you do not have to believe what I'm telling you. You can have your own explanations for all of it, and that's perfectly okay. As long as you don't try to change my mind or make me feel like less of a person because I believe the things I believe. I won't think less of you either because you believe differently. And I think that's what makes this world such an amazing place, is all the different things that people believe and how we can all come together and share those experiences and maybe I can open somebody's mind to the possibility of the existence of some of these things. And I would really love to hear your stories down below if you are so comfortable as to share them. I would love to know what your experiences are with dreams and dream interpretation or dream travel, dreaming of your relatives or even your friends that are not passed. That's happened a lot. What about, in like dream prediction or your connection to the spiritual world? I would love to hear all of that. So please feel free to share that with me. If you are not comfortable sharing it on a YouTube comment, I totally get that too. Send me an email. I love getting your email. I am very close to having saved enough money from my channel to open my P.O. box. So I'm hoping that'll be up in the next month. And then we can start having mail videos, like unboxing your mail videos and letters. So I'm very close to that, which is just to remind you, or just to add on to that. So feel free to email me. You will never be a bother. Sometimes it takes me a little longer to respond to emails, but I promise you I will respond to them if you send me an email. And don't be afraid if I don't get back to you right away. Just send me another one and just say, hey, did you forget about me? Because sometimes I read them right when I wake up, think I responded, and days will go by when I realize that, oops, I actually didn't. So yes, please feel free to email me and share your stories. If you are up for it, you can share in the comments down below. I'm going to finish these last 3 O's, and I am going to call it a night. I just wanted to get some rhinestones on. Oh, that's going to look amazing. How does it look on camera? Well, that's right where the light is being drawn out. Oh yeah, that looks pretty cool, the few that I've put in. I just can't wait to see this as a whole. Oh! Alright guys, that's what I got for you today. And good timing because my battery is now flashing 5% battery left. Boy, I know how to kill a battery. So, don't forget to subscribe before you leave if you have not done so already. Give the video a thumbs up. It helps out so much. It helps to get this video seen, get me out there, and help our beautiful family grow. Then, if you think somebody else might get enjoyment from this video, please share it. And hit the bell so that you can always be notified when I upload videos just like this one, but less spooky. More normal. But this is normal to me, so it is what it is. And with that, I'm going to let you go. So have an awesome day. Happy Halloween. If you're watching this in the future, I hope you had a happy Halloween 2019. I love you, friends. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.